Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. Oil has statistically produced aggregate national wealth in the last 57 years. It has also produced the accompanying troubles of how to translate the fortune into individual benefits. Distribution of national wealth is an age-old issue, essentially creating division not only between economic systems of capitalism and socialism, but also has caused cultural and regional differences. What has made Nigeria's case different is that our oil wealth was a sudden discovery. Various regions, having previously been engaged in agriculture production that earned the country's foreign reserves, have now looked to depend on oil. Cocoa, cotton, and palm products produced in various parts of the country had actually yielded external reserves to the tune of 100 million British pounds 7 years before the country's 1960 independence. Oil replaced cocoa, peanuts, and palm products as a national export earner, and the oil boom of the early mid-1970s set today's pace of reliance on oil, accounting for up to 98% of export earnings. On today's episode of the Osasu Show, we'll be discussing about APC's True Federalism Committee. They've made 13 suggestions on how to restructure not only the country but the economy to ensure that state governments can build and create an economy, a vibrant economy for themselves and their citizens. Don't go anywhere and we'll be right back on the Osasu Show. Welcome back to the Osasu Show. With me now is the APC Publicity Secretary, Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi. Thank you so much for joining us in today's program.
Thank you very much, my pleasure.
You're welcome. So, restructuring, true federalism, what does all that mean? The APC recently came out with a 13-point agenda for this true federalism. I have all the points here: the creation of states, merger of states, derivation principle, fiscal federalism and revenue allocation, devolution of powers, federating units, form of government, independent candidacy, land tenure system, local government autonomy, power sharing and rotation, resource control, and last but not least, type of legislator. So I want us to breeze through this quickly, but there are some key points, and I want us to start with that regarding resource control that most Nigerians are worried about. So I guess we should start off right there. The recommendation of the APC Restructuring Committee stated that if accepted by the federal government, the control of resources is ceded to the states, then several other legislations will also have to be changed to enable this. So the state governments will have 100% control of resources found on their lands, right? So can you talk to us more about this?
Well, what it means, you see, the whole idea of restructuring is anchored on a desire to have more efficient government and to bring governance closer to the people and generally put people in control of their lives. So it's in that context that this kind of recommendation is coming up, that our federalism has become so distorted, and our states, we practice what we call a begging bowl federalism, where at the end of every month, states come to Abuja to collect money. This has generated a culture of laziness and more prebendalism, as if you like to call it. So the notion at the moment, in the context of restructuring, is that every state in Nigeria should be allowed to develop its own economy. And in developing their various economy, it means that they should be given full control of resources within their territories. This applies to all resources, minerals, oil, and whatever. Of course, that will have significant implications for everything else, derivation, the relationship between the states and the federal government, in terms of financing, So it's a huge one, and we believe that it's going to change the whole nature of our federation.
When you look at this provision specifically, you look at the 9 Niger Delta states, for instance, the way the oil resources are allocated, I read this specifically where it said the onshore resources, this onshore oil found in the Niger Delta will 100% belong to the state government, while offshore will belong to the federal government. How do we differentiate between offshore and onshore, given that these states are coastal? They're in the line between the border between the Atlantic Ocean and the coastal states are not as clear, straightforward as most Nigerians would think.
Well, I think it's an old conversation. Like some people have argued since we released our report that we are bringing back the old issue of onshore-offshore dichotomy that had long been settled by the Supreme Court.
In 2002, but most people are still not satisfied with that judgment.
Talking about littoral states and how many kilometers into the idea is that you cannot take everything away and leave the federal government with nothing. The federal government still has responsibility for protecting the boundaries of Nigeria. That is one. Two, resources that lay outside your immediate boundaries. If you draw a map of any of the states in Nigeria, it does not include the Atlantic Ocean. That falls within the Nigerian boundaries. Right, so that's why we said those resources that fall outside the boundaries of the states should remain under the control of the federal government. That's our interpretation. But
let me bring you to one of the issues that a lot of Nigerians are worried about. The chairman of this committee, Nasser El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, came out categorically to state that he does not believe in restructuring. What does restructuring mean? Despite the APC constitution stating that as one of its promises, then the president or the party appointed him as the chairman of this restructuring committee, and he is giving us this document as Nigerians.
Maybe the plan was to convert him. No, but you see, on a serious note, I must have answered this question like God knows how many times. There was nowhere Nasir El-Rufai said he doesn't believe in restructuring.
I actually watched it on national television.
What he said is that all these people talking about restructuring today don't even know what it means. And that these people are merely opportunistic, right? And they're just trying to exploit the public sentiment for restructuring to promote their political agenda. If you ask them to sit down and tell you what they mean by restructuring, they cannot. And that is one. Two, as a chairman of the committee, we put him to task on this, just like you're asking me now. We asked him, sir, but you have been reported to say that you don't believe in restructuring. He said this same thing that I've just told you. And I must say to his credit, he never in any way, at any point in the course of our work, because I happen to be a member of that committee as well, imposed his sentiments, opinion, or ideas on the committee's.
But isn't it very opportunistic of the APC government, or APC, the party in general, to propose this 13-point agenda for restructuring less than a year to the 2019 elections? Are you doing this because you want to win re-election in 2019?
Yes. Of course, yes. Because if you promise people something, the only way you can go back to people and say, vote for us again, is that you get it done.
So for almost 3 years, the party has told us no restructuring. The president said that in his New Year address. that there would be, sorry, the president did say that there'll be no restructuring. The party feel that the president, if I'm correct, right? So if the party for the past 3 years has been telling us to hell with restructuring, the governor of Borno State said at your book launch on a platter of gold how Jonathan won and lost the election, restructuring my foot, to hell with restructuring. Those were his exact words. Now the party is coming back to us, which is made up of these same people, telling us that, no, we want to give you the promise we made. Isn't that
if you want
deceitful?
if you want to look at it that way, it's possible for you to look at it the way you are looking at it. But that is not correct, I must say. These individual positions don't reflect the position of the party.
Who makes up the party?
What determines what the position of the party is, what is contained in the party manifesto.
But there's a line you draw in playing politics. I believe if this restructuring conversation happened in 2015, we would have saved most Nigerians from the economic depression, repression that we felt throughout this past few years. You see, even looking at the situation, I'm going to digress a little in Benue State, the Fulani herdsmen killing. The president has not visited Benue State since these attacks have been happening, yet he was able to visit the neighboring Nasarawa state. Is this also part of the politics playing that we're discussing here?
No, I cannot speak for that. I don't work for the president, I work for the party. So I don't have access to information that informs his activities. But I believe that there must be considerations. What those considerations are, I don't have access to it. It's beyond my clearance level.
As a spokesman of the party, do you agree with the president's decision not to visit Benue State?
It is not my position to agree or not to agree.
What does the party, where does the party stand?
The party's position was what you have seen the party done. When people were being buried, people who became victims to these attacks were being buried in Benue, the entire party leadership was there. That is the party's position, right? And that's what we have done. If we're in a position to advise, given what we know, we will want the president to be there.
Can you name some of the party leadership that were at the burial ceremony?
Almost the entire NWC. Almost the entire NWC.
The chairman was around?
The chairman was there, the national secretary was there, the deputy chairman was there, almost everybody.
But
if I were to go there 2 days before, but the governor and the party in Benue advised that we come that day for security reasons and all that. You know, we went there.
Well, his fellow APC governors have stated that due to his anti-grazing bill, that these attacks are happening, and therefore that's why they haven't implemented them in their states. And if he had withdrawn that anti-grazing bill, his people would have been safe.
That's their interpretation. They may not be right. This is not the same thing with the party's position.
Okay.
The governor of Benue State has a responsibility to govern his state. What concerns us is that nothing should be done that will make people innocent people to suffer the way we have seen the people of Benue suffer. Right? The party's position is that we have a problem in Benue because we are the governing party in Benue, and therefore we have a responsibility to protect the lives and properties of people in Benue. And when people are being killed the way we have seen, then the party has a problem, and we have a responsibility to deal with that problem. That's where the party stands.
Yes. Finally, you've distinguished the line between the government and the party. So the federal government and the party, two separate entities. In 2019, if you're coming out to campaign, why should Nigerians believe the promises of APC, given the fact that the president can't come out again to do what he wants to do, irregardless of what the party's stance is on national issues in general?
I think I probably have not made myself clear in that regard. I did not separate the party from the government. You see, the government is produced by the party, right? Therefore, the party takes responsibility for everything the government does because it is the party that went around the country to campaign. That is a party we voted.
But it sounds like the party makes more excuses.
No, making excuses. What we are saying is that, what I'm just telling you is that, you see, we keep making reference to the manifesto of APC, rightly so, right? But the point I'm making is that the manifesto of a political party is valid for all time. It's an expression of the philosophy of that party, right? You cannot implement everything that is contained in a manifesto in 4 years, otherwise the party will close shop and say, well, we've achieved everything in our manifesto, so we must go and find something else to do. So a manifesto is the philosophy, is the ground norm of the political party. You produce a government, that government takes what it can implement in that manifesto within 4 years or 8 years. You produce another government on and on and on. So there's no contradiction in PDP saying, for example, this is our manifesto, and President Jonathan saying, this is my.
Do you believe President Muhammadu Buhari is working in line with your party manifesto?
We believe so, because our party manifesto, part of our party will protect the life and property of citizens in our manifesto. So when he said he's going to fight Boko Haram, that's part of implementing the APC manifesto. We said we're going to create jobs and improve the lives of citizens. So everything they are doing in the social intervention program, everything they are doing, all these jobs is part of the implementation.
You know, I had a member of your party, a member of the board of trustees of your party, Honorable Gali Naba, who stated that he met with the president, and the president believes that party members are evil.
Well, the president has not told us that he thinks we are evil, and I don't look evil. Last November, we were at the National Caucus meeting together. He came to the party secretariat for the NEC meeting, and now we are planning another NEC meeting, and I don't think the president sits with evil people. You know, so I don't know. You know,
you guys have been planning meetings. You actually haven't held, for the first time, you held your National Caucus meeting last year, I believe.
Yes.
Right? You haven't had your NEC meeting.
No, we had NEC meeting the following day.
Once as well.
No, we had the NEC meeting we're going to have now will be the 4th NEC meeting.
Since 2015?
Since 2015. No, since the party came on board in 2013.
Yes. But since 2015, how many NEC meetings have you had? 2 NEC meetings. Yeah. Okay. But the bone of contention here, this is where I end the show, is the fact that APC hasn't been able to put up a national convention.
Yes.
What's going on there?
No, I mean, yes, we wish we had been able to do our convention, the non-elective convention at least. But of course, last year was particularly challenging for all. The president was out of the country for a while, and we didn't want to proceed with the activity in his absence. He's the leader of our party. You know, and we also had problems of party members moving in different positions. They were actually senior party members who were treating that period as a period of transition of sorts. So we didn't want to provide a platform for anything. And we said in that last NEC meeting that if we did this in error, fine, we accept responsibility. But in our best judgment, as the executive of the party, we believe we shouldn't proceed with the convention at the time. Now we are in 2018, we have elections coming up next year. And all these activities we have lined up, we have to look at it. We have NEC meeting again this month, in February. We are going to have another NEC meeting. And after, one major outcome of that should be our timetable running down to, 2019 election. So we have difficulties, but you see, the important thing that I keep saying is this. No political party arrives fully formed, right? 3 years political party, 4 years at best APC. The oldest political party we have is PDP, 16, 17 years. What is 17 years? So if we are committed to democracy, we should allow our political parties to grow. They will make mistakes, they will correct it. You know, the advanced democracies that we talk about, how old are their political parties? More than centuries old. So we must give ourselves a chance. We've not done, maybe we've not done everything that we set out to do since 1999. But we've made progress since 1999.
The All Progressive Congress. Thank you so much. Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, the APC Publicity Secretary, thank you so much for your time.
I don't know where to begin, but I feel they should set their priorities right, you know. Well, what is happening right now, I don't see any structure being put in place. Because when you say you are restructuring something, I think there should be, you're trying to pull down the previous structure and do something that is a lot more better, you know. So, but right now, I don't think there is any sort of improvement. There is any sign that we are restructuring anything.
The restructuring they are talking about within the government are practicing of federalism. It is going to be the best way so that everybody will know the right position to be accused. It seems like we all put our mind into the federal government, but the issue is that we need to hold our governor responsible in the state as the chief secretary of the state. Any damages, any development must be held responsible. The federal power must be less for we blaming the federal government always. But the state government and the local government with the district council must be held responsible for any development or school structures or bringing investors to the country.
Honestly, APC restructuring, I think that is a political gimmick. I don't think they are serious. See, in their manifesto, APC made Nigeria to vote for them by telling us that once they get into power, they are going to restructure the country. This is almost 3 years now. They are now coming out with this gimmick with Erufai committee saying that they want to restructure the country. Erufai himself doesn't even believe in the restructuring of the nation. Even Mr. President, during his first January broadcast, he also mentioned that the problem of Nigeria is not restructuring, that is a process. So I'm just being confused here between the president and even his party. I don't think they are even working in synergy. So I don't think that Mr. President believes in this restructuring. So APC should stop deceiving Nigeria. They're only trying to assuage Nigerians for 2019 vote. I think they are not serious.
The basis of the APC itself was an agreement that the party must address the issue of true federalism, or restructuring, as some people prefer to call it. So thank God we are here today to head off the debate. The party leadership had to set up this committee that has today produced the report under the leadership of Malam Nasir El-Rufai, whose report we are going to place before the Nigerian public today.
We all want a Nigeria that we'll be proud of. It has always been like a pain in me that we run to other countries, appreciate them. You know, instead of us to come and uplift our country, we go around in talks. Nigeria has been a country that has talked for 50 years. If APC as a party can move these recommendations, then we will begin to act and see a true country, a real country that can stand up to any nation. There's no doubt Nigeria is a very blessed country because probably we belong to the richest countries on earth in everything. In everything, not mineral alone, not land, not agriculture, but the resourcefulness of the people. The fact that when we go anywhere on earth, we become stars, show that we have been blessed by such huge investment as far as humanity is concerned. And at the same time, these recommendations also make me to be included in the decision making of the country, because the committee recommended that we should have affirmative action. We should also domesticate SIDO. We should also bring our children to the fore of our activities. And by this, we have realized the youth are the ideas, are the driving engine of this country. If you don't get them into decision making, if you don't give them the environment, then you have no nation. Please let us put our foot down as Nigerians and do the correct thing. Do these recommendations because they are worthwhile. The other things have failed. Policing has failed in Nigeria. Let's make it work. Thank you very much.
Well, you've heard it here on the Osasu Show, APC's plans for Nigerians pre-2019. To get involved in the conversation, you can send us an email, details on the screen, or you can visit our website, TOSTV Network.com. Don't forget, as usual, nominate who you want to be president in 2019 by visiting our site, TOSTVNetwork.com/TPC. You can send in a 1-minute video of yourself talking about the candidate you would want to emerge in the 2019 polls on our social media handles at The Osasu Show at TOSTV Network, at Osasu Show on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll see you same time, same place next week, and until then, take very good care of yourself. God bless you.